just over a month since our first Talking Transformation podcast, Bulletin, and since then we've had a benefit of 4 more engaging and in-depth conversations on a wide variety of built environment issues. We've heard reflections on the President's ambitious plans for a new city and the challenges that go with that aspiration. Unsurprisingly, episode 5 on this whole question of new city building has been our most popular episode to date. A 3-way conversation with colleagues who have engaged with coding and data science as a way forward for their careers and as a way to answer the complex urbanisation questions facing towns and cities across the country was also a very popular episode released in the last month also. And then we've had 2 compelling conversations and discussions on land rights through the lens of informal settlements and the land reform and agriculture report that was released by the Presidential Advisory Panel, our most recent of the episodes. I've enjoyed the time to reflect on some of these issues and learn about others. If nothing else, the episodes are going to be there for all comers in the months and years to come to consider, to reference and to use as you, the listener, sees fit. We've had plenty of discussions behind the scenes with SACPlan, South African Council for Planners, about the whole question of the constant professional development, or CPD, the points available to those who engage with the podcast. That's been quite an interesting conversation, and it would seem that at least on 3 different ways there will be chance for professionals who are looking for professional registration or for upkeeping their professional development will be able to reflect on points and collect points by engaging with this and other podcasts. We'll get to the scoring and how it all works in future podcasts when we hope to speak with Martin Lewis, the CEO from SACPlan, in due course. We've also had discussions with the Architects, Planners and Engineer Society here in Cape Town to potentially collaborate with them in the future around a sort of an annual review and a future looking forward to 2020 come the end of this 2019 calendar year. And what's been very encouraging has been the enthusiasm for the podcast, that the feedback that we've been getting. At times it's been quite overwhelming. Many people have applauded the initiative and the content, and we're closing in on 800 listens in the 2 months that we've been live. Given the modest ambitions of 100 listeners in 2019 and 1,000 by the end of 2020, we've had to adjust those ambitions to perhaps 100 listeners by the end of the year and 1,200 listens by the end of 2019. But to be honest, those figures are somewhat immaterial. It's not about the numbers, it's about the quality of the content and the diversity of the topics and the views that are shared via the Talking Transformation podcast. Still to come in the coming weeks, we're going to be reflecting on the burning issue of homelessness in our towns and cities. We'll look at the approaches, the challenges facing the homeless communities and initiatives that have been created to support the increasing numbers facing this urban reality. We'll also be looking at the issues of mobility, both in terms of the public transportation systems that are rolling out across our cities and some of the e-hailing models, some of those things that we've seen on our phones and our tablets these last few years, which have changed the pattern and the mode of travel for many of us fortunate enough to be able to maneuver around the city with these app-based technology. What does the future hold? What have been the lessons learned? These are going to be some of the things that we'll focus on in the weeks to come. Urban agriculture, how cities and towns have gone about supporting their immediate food needs now and in the future, is another focus area that we're looking to explore in the coming weeks. There's already a number of podcasts that didn't make the cut due to a variety of logistical reasons. There's plenty in reserve when time and logistics will allow. You've also heard in the last few weeks, as promised, another voice from the Talking Transformation podcast team, from Pervez Abdallah on our latest podcast with Professor Hall. Pervez is a young, talented professional who sadly will be heading south to New Zealand during the course of this month to take up a professional position in Auckland. His passion for the land reform issues and to get to the whole question of the land reform issues in the report and ultimately to access Professor Ruth Hall to chat with us has been one of the highlights of this brief Talking Transformation podcast journey, and without Pervez we wouldn't have got into that space over this last few weeks. Although he's very quiet on the microphone, those of you who listened to the podcast itself, you'll certainly have understood his enthusiasm, which comes through very clearly in that episode. And as I say, Pervez, come win or lose the Rugby World Cup there, New Zealand, you've certainly stolen a diamond talent from South Africa. This bulletin is dedicated to Pervez and his family as they set sailed for the land of the white cloud. All the very best, Pervez. We're going to miss you. enjoy your journey.